Good evening, folks. It is 5:30 p.m. and welcome to the January 11th, 2021 edition of the Moorhead City Council. I'd like to extend a welcome to our new council members, Matthew Gilbertson and Laura Caroon. Mr. Gilbertson is attending in present, and Ms. Caroon is attending virtually. So welcome and congratulations. Also, we'll welcome back to council members Steve Lindos and Larry Selgervold. So with that, we will proceed to a roll call. Madam Clerk.
Shelly Dahlquist.
Here.
Matthew Gilbertson.
Here.
Shelly Carlson.
Here.
Laura Caroon.
Here.
Deb White.
Here.
Larry Selgervold.
Here.
Chuck Hendrickson.
Here.
Steve Lindos.
Here.
In council, I have City Manager Dan Mahli and then Mayor Johnathan Judd.
Okay, if we can please rise and state the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I am Mayor Johnathan Judd, and the Moorhead City Council is holding its regularly scheduled meeting using virtual meeting technology under an emergency declaration due to COVID-19. I'm in the City Council chambers, along with the folks that Madam City Clerk has mentioned, and a few other staff members. Council members are attending remotely. Any public comment received prior to this meeting will be read as a part of the record during the applicable agenda item. The public may participate during the meeting by calling 218-299-5001. Public input will be taken by a staff member and provided to me to read during the meeting. Or you may request that your call be bridged to the virtual WebEx meeting and speak directly during our public hearings or citizens addressing the council agenda item. Again, the public comment line is 218-299-5001. If there's an answer, please leave your message or callback number, and a member of city staff will get back to you as soon as possible. All right, with that, item number 3 on the agenda are agenda amendments. Are there any amendments to tonight's agenda?
There are none, Mayor.
Thank you. Then we'll proceed to item number 4, which is the consent agenda, and I believe City Manager Mahli, my understanding is there is one item that's being pulled off consent, and that's agenda item number 14.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and that's the resolution to approve Comprehensive Plan Study Review Committee.
Yes, Mayor.
Okay. And with that, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with the one modification with item number 14 coming off consent?
So moved, Carlson.
Seconded, White.
Got that, Madam City Clerk?
Got it.
All right. Thank you much. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam City Clerk.
Dahlquist.
Yes.
Gilbertson.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Caroon.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Selgervold.
Aye.
Hendrickson.
Aye.
Lindos.
Yes.
Motion passes. Then we move on to item number 5, recognitions, presentations. 5A, Clay County Business Relief Program, presented by Derrick LaPoint, President and CEO of Downtown Moorhead, Inc. Thank you, Mr. LaPoint, for being here tonight.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, council members. Appreciate you taking the time tonight. Just a very quick update. Obviously, these last number of weeks since we've last convened as a full council, there's been a lot of things happening. We've been working consistently with our business group, trying to get relief out. And as a reminder, the state of Minnesota, specifically the Department of Revenue, had about $88 million that are giving direct grants to bars, restaurants, gyms, event spaces. Businesses were notified on December 31st if they would be receiving those grants. We've been talking to some of the businesses that have already received that notification. I don't think anybody's received the check yet, but we've been told that checks will be cut here this week or next week. So checks will be in the mail to businesses from the Department of Revenue. On a separate note, the state also did issue money to counties across the state of Minnesota. And specifically in Clay County, there was about $1.25 million that was issued to our county. City Manager Dan Mahli and myself and some other city leaders have been meeting with the Clay County Commission, specifically Commissioner Mojo and Commissioner Campbell, as well as County Administrator Steve Larson, on how those funds should be allocated, specifically to those businesses that are in the most need of it. That board, the county board, is looking to approve a program tomorrow morning at their regular board meeting. I believe that starts at 8:30 in the morning. The program, from what we're gathering so far, is going to be specifically for business grants for businesses, including bars, restaurants, gyms, and event spaces. It would also include some nonprofits, specifically towards Allegiance and VFWs, those that have restaurant kind of services to it. The grant amounts at this point in time are not defined. Partly, we have to see how many applications are going to be coming into the county. Certainly, the city will be helping them with some type of review. We're still trying to figure out kind of where our role will be in that, but we'll certainly be able to help as much as we can. Estimates kind of on our end of how many businesses we expect to have as a part of this program is about 45, give or take. This will be an application-based program too, so as soon as the county approves that tomorrow morning, they will go live with a grant program. We've been told that they will have a press release that will go out that we are certainly willing to share. We hope the city will share. Already working with Shelly Larson at the MBA and other community partners to get the word out. I think that application period will be for about 12 days, ending January 24th. I believe that's a Sunday. And then we'll work to distribute the funds as quickly as possible from there. But yeah, still, you know, kind of questioning some of the process. So we'll hopefully find out some more information tomorrow from the county. But we also know that this is money that's going directly to those businesses in need. And we're excited to get the word out to hopefully help some of those folks. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. LaPointe. Mic's not on. Thank you, Mr. LaPointe. Does council have any questions, comments? Councilmember Carlson, I see your hand is up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Point, I was just curious if a business would qualify for the state money, does that mean they are disqualified then from applying for the county money, or can they apply for both? Do you know?
Yeah, so I should reference that the state money from the Department of Revenue, there's no application. Those are just direct grants. The state gave a tremendous amount of flexibility to the counties on how those funds could be used. And there is no requirement that says the county cannot give additional grants to businesses that receive state funds. So at this point in time, businesses that receive state grants would be eligible to apply for the county grant as well. The application itself too, we're having it be very, very simple. Something that was done in our last round of the CARES grant. There'll be some preset kind of eligibility questions before the business can advance. So we're hoping that it's very streamlined. People will be able to easily understand it and be able to understand what the information is asking of, and ultimately getting the true list of businesses that are eligible for the program.
Okay. And then my second question then has to do with, are you aware if, just a minute, I lost it. It'll come back here.
Well, I should note too. Oh, go ahead.
The question, sorry, I remember now. The question regarding if they reside in a different state but own the business in Moorhead or the county, are they eligible to receive the state funds and or apply to the county funds?
I was about to read your mind. That's what I was just going to get on to. So Actually, it's been kind of interesting. So we were told by our local legislators that that residency requirement was going to be in place for the State Department of Revenue dollars. It's not a requirement of the county money, so the county money can give that. But I've also had a lot of conversations with business owners that I know specifically have residency in North Dakota. They have received notification through the Department of Revenue that they would be receiving a grant. They haven't obviously seen a physical check yet, but they're going to keep me posted if they do. But everything is leading towards that those individuals are going to be receiving a check from the Department of Revenue, which is a really good thing at this point in time. The one other big note is the Department of Revenue dollars, you needed to have tax returns from 2019 and 2020, so it excluded new businesses. That is not a requirement of the county money. So new businesses, which we do have a number of them here in Moorhead, which is a great thing, would be eligible to apply for the county funds. And the county is looking at specifically a separate fund maybe for those new businesses.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. LaPointe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Carlson. Does that bring about any other questions or comments from council? Councilmember Gilbertson.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, Mr. LaPointe. What happens if it's too late for one and they don't reopen? What if they don't reopen?
Yeah, so there's a couple different caveats here. So like what we did for the Moorhead CARES grant is we had those businesses sign affidavits about potential refunds. We haven't run into that issue quite yet. The county will have a similar process that the business will sign this application attesting to that the funds are going to valid businesses. At this point in time, I don't think there's anything in the county process for this round that looks at clawbacks if a business were to close. It's looking at the active businesses right now. If that makes sense.
Yep. So is it more geared towards the people that have been closed the last 8 weeks versus hair salons that would show a 30% drop?
That's exactly right. So in a lot of the conversations that we had, the county and other city leaders that we met with, specifically we're looking at businesses that were most impacted by the recent orders, the governor's orders. So gyms, bars, restaurants, event spaces that were physically closed for that duration.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gilbertson. Does that bring about any other questions from council? All right. Seeing none?
I would just say stay tuned. Maybe I can work with City Manager Mahli on issuing that or getting the press release shared to the council members. Share it to your businesses and your contacts that you have. We're certainly going to try to hit the ground running with this and make sure we get a lot of our businesses applying for this program.
Okay. Well, thank you for all of your work. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, folks. That moves us to item number 6 on the agenda. 6A, the approval of the December 14th, 2020 meeting minutes, and item 6B, approval of the December 23rd, 2020 special meeting minutes. Everyone had a chance to review those minutes. Any additions, errors, corrections, omissions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve 6A and 6B?
Councilmember Lindos moves approval of both minutes for December 14th and December 23rd.
I'll second Seldroll.
Madam Clerk. All right. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussions? Hearing none. Madam City Clerk.
Dahlquist,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Gilbertson,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Caroon,
Yes.
Seldrovold,
Aye.
Lindos,
Yes.
Hendrickson.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 7, citizens addressing the council. Madam City Clerk, have we received any electronic communications, phone calls, messages?
None at this time.
And I'll ask City Manager Mahli, the same. Not at this time, okay. All right, then we'll move to, I believe, 8B. Resolution to approve appointment of mayor to city council committees, boards, and commissions. And I think it's statutory, from what my understanding is, folks, that we have to, this cannot be passed through consent. There has to be a unanimous vote in order to appoint the mayor to any of the city council committees, boards, and commissions. So unless there's any discussion or questions, no. Madam City
I'll
Clerk?
move to approve Deb White.
Second, Chuck.
All right, motion's made and seconded. Any further discussions? Hearing none. Madam City Clerk?
Gilbertson,
Yes.
Dahlquist,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Karoon,
Yes.
Seljevold,
Aye.
Hendrickson,
Aye.
Lindos.
Yes.
Motion passes. Then it's 5:47, so we'll begin first of our two public hearings. Agenda item number 9 is a public hearing regarding the 2021 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan Draft. Is there a motion to take it into public hearing?
Councilmember Lindos moves we go into public hearing.
Second, it's Chuck.
Madam City Clerk, got that?
Yep.
All right. Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Madam City Clerk?
Dahlquist,
Yes.
Gilbertson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Karoon,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Seljevold,
Aye.
Hendrickson,
Aye.
Lindos.
Yes.
Motion passes. We are now in public hearing.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep,
Excellent.
sure can. Thank you.
Thank you for having me this evening. The original public hearing for our 2021 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan was held last month on December 14th. Due to a procedural error that we identified after the previous hearing, we are holding this public hearing to give an additional opportunity for public input. The information in your packet is the same tonight as it was during the December public hearing. For this hearing, rather than repeating the information we shared last time, we will simply open it up for any public input or questions that there may be at this time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Huffman. So I'll ask Madam City Clerk, City Manager Mahli, do we at this point in time have any electronic phone communication from any public members that wish to be heard during this hearing?
You know, we do not, just so we're clear here, Josh didn't say it, but I will. You know, this is a federal grant that comes in, and in the paper, the date was printed wrong, so we just have to correct it to make sure that there's a 30-day comment period that's provided. So that's what we're doing here.
Okay, no worries at all. Things happen. So I'll ask the second, just pursuant to the procedure, is there anyone that wishes to be heard from the public on this matter? Is there anyone that wishes to be heard from the public on this matter? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing. Is there a motion to exit public hearing?
Councilmember Lindos moves to exit hearing.
Carlson, second.
Motion's made and seconded. You got that, Madam City Clerk?
Yep.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam City Clerk?
Dahlquist,
Yes.
Gilbertson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Karoon,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Seljevold,
Aye.
Lindos,
Yes.
Hendrickson.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are out of public hearing. Thank you, Mr. Huffman. We move on to item number 10 on the agenda to consider actions relating to 825 46th Avenue South, parcel number 21.029.4201. And I believe 10A is a public hearing, the annexation petition of Stormore LLP. Is there a motion to take us into public hearing?
Dahlquist, so moved.
Second, Seldroll.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam City Clerk.
Dahlquist,
Yes.
Gilbertson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Caroon,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Seldrivold,
Aye.
Hendrickson,
Aye.
Lindos.
Yes.
Motion passes. We are in public hearing, and I see Ms. Houston. Is this your items?
Can you hear me? I better check first.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm Robin Houston. I'm the city planner and zoning administrator for the new council members. We are considering a annexation petition during this public hearing this evening. Stormore is a self-storage project that finished their first phase of construction last year. It's located just south of 46th Avenue South, just east of Highway 75. You can't miss it going down Highway 75. You can see the big white fence that's around the project. It's just outside the city limits. The property owner had signed a annexation and access agreement with the city back in 2019 after Clay County approved a conditional use permit. Prior to that, one of the conditions of the project was that they had to attach to the city within 1 year of completion of their first building, which they did, or they started the process. We have not received any comments or objections to the petition at this time. Notice was sent out to the property owner and all the abutting properties, Clay County, Moorhead Township. And we are just one of the requirements of an annexation. We are required to pay the township 1 year, at least 1 year of lost property taxes, which is a minimal amount of $178. The city attorney I've actually learned a lot about this process, but he can certainly answer other questions if you have any more technical questions. Otherwise, I'd be happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you, Ms. Houston. We will, and I'll ask, I guess, Madam City Clerk, City Manager Mahli, have we had any public communications, any residents who wish to be heard on this item?
None at this time.
And we don't have anyone on the line, Mayor.
Okay, so I'll just ask again, just for purposes of making the record, is there any member of the public that wishes to be heard on this item? Is there any member of the public that wishes to be heard on this item? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion to take us out of public hearing?
So move this, Chuck.
Second, Dahlquist.
We have Hendrickson, and then I heard Dahlquist with the second. Okay, we have a motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam City Clerk.
Dahlquist,
Yes.
Gilbertson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Caroon,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Seldrivold,
Aye.
Hendrickson,
Aye.
Lindos.
Yes.
Motion passes. Are there any council members that have any questions related to this item? Okay. Hearing none. think we're good to go?
Mayor, excuse me, I can't get I'm not fast enough with my button to raise my hand, so can I interrupt? Sorry.
No, absolutely. Go right ahead, Councilmember Selgerville. That's fine.
You know, I know where this project is, but do we have any more say than just having the county give them a conditional use permit and then we, you know, come along and annex them? I mean, it seems like kind of a bad way to go just on the outside of our city limits planning, you know. So I'm just curious if we have any say in what goes just on outside our city limits.
So, Mr. Mayor, I can respond, like.
Please, go right ahead.
Councilmember Selgerville, that's a great question. When this project first appeared before the city, the area is within the county's jurisdiction, but we worked with the applicant, the county, and we developed an agreement that precipitated this annexation. And that agreement included their ability to connect on to this, I believe it's 46, I may have the wrong street number. So they had to access on 46, also included connection to our storm sewer system and compliance with the applicable codes and building requirements. And we wanted to make sure that as they started building, they were in compliance with all the city requirements. They paid the cost of connecting up to the street, and then also they would become a part of the city so that we would have jurisdiction over them long-term in regards to building permits and other issues. And so this was really a good cooperative process with the county and the applicant and everybody involved. It really worked as it's supposed to with the planning process and the different jurisdictions.
Mr. Mayor, I can add to that also.
Please.
The original conditional use permit, the city was also party to that approval process. I think that was in 2015, 2016. There were actually conditions worked upon between the county and the city. So it's in the packet. I attached it in the packet if you're curious. So once that conditional use permit was put in there, the language about the access and annexation agreement was put in. So then the property had changed hands. That's why it took some time to actually build it. So we have a new project owner, and then they finally constructed it last year. We did apply city zoning design standards to the project because they were going to be annexed in to the city. So they did have to comply with our zoning code for that area. And also the other thing is there's going to be additional phases to the project. So we wanted to make sure that their annexation was completed. Once the annexation is completed, we will be rezoning the property under the city zoning ordinance so that any future buildings or uses go in will have to comply to that same zoning code. And we also have been speaking to them about such projects. So we said, once we get the annexation finalized, we can entertain their rezoning application.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Houston, for that addition. I do see two hands up. Let's see, Councilmember Lindos, your hand is up, and then Councilmember White.
Thank you, Mayor. I was actually, City Planner Houston actually sort of answered what I was going to say, but just to reiterate, Councilmember Selgerville's question is really good. There is a coordination between county and city, and there is sort of what I would call a buffer region around, and I think City Planner Houston could probably get the better technical verbiage for that, but there's a nice coordination between conditional use permits and zoning around, which I think everyone in the city should be kind of aware of, so that you don't, well, so that you have coordinated development going on. So I don't know if City Planner Houston wants to give the exact verbiage or not.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. The the city has a boundary around it. Under statute, it is within 2 miles of the city. We have what's called an urban expansion district where we have control over subdivisions, subdivision of property. We also, we work with the county whenever they get a planning application. They forward those to us to check to see if we have comment. And I know that the city had worked on this exact issue a few years ago, and we had adjusted our subdivision requirements to bring that 2-mile line in to be a little more specific and closer. If anyone's interested in seeing exactly how that lays out, I can certainly send them information. We have, I'll just use an example. Clay County has a pending text amendment to their zoning code to allow certain business uses, mini storage in their tier 1 urban expansion district. And the city just a few years ago worked with Dilworth and the townships to coordinate those projects, because what happens is we have people building projects out in the middle of rural areas that do not have access to city water or sewer, and those can preclude future development of our, just say, our growth areas that we have planned. So the city, the cities, the townships, and the county are all working are very, I should say, symbiotically to make sure to prevent those projects in the future. Just because these problems do come up with the water connection, because at some point, the septics fail, as we all know, and at some point somebody wants city water. So we can't expand water to every rural area that's surrounding us, and that's why we have this urban expansion district and the urban growth areas planned out.
Great, thank you for that info. I was not aware about the 2-mile zone, so that's a good thing to be aware of. Councilmember White, your hand is up.
Thank you, Mayor. And this is really tied into that discussion. I think some of this predates when I was on council, but if I recall, there was also just a discussion of concerns that had been raised by some of the folks in the single-family homes, because there's, the developments that are around in that area, particularly on the west side of 8th Street, are single-family, and so there was efforts made to make sure that there was that the design elements that were used would be things that would, would blend in well. So there was a good transition between the storage area, the storage units, and then our single-family neighborhood. Am I correct with that?
Yes. It's Chuck. I was on council that time, yes. You're right.
Okay. And Councilmember Hendrickson, I see that your hand is up.
Yeah, just agree with everything that's been said. I was on the council when we did work through this, and we worked very closely with the Clay County and the owners, and it was put through the ringer. I remember that, but everything worked out well, and so it was a good project. It looks nice on the south side of town. So like I said, council and the county and the owners worked really well together. So that's what I remember about it. That's it.
Yeah, thank you. Are there any other questions for Madam City Planner regarding this particular topic? Okay, hearing none, then 10B is the first reading of the ordinance 2020-14, the annexation of 825 46th Avenue South, parcel 21.029.4201. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second. Deb White.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam City Clerk?
Dahlquist,
Yes.
Gilbertson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Caroon,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Seljevold,
Aye.
Hendrickson,
Aye.
Lindas.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, Madam City Planner, for being here tonight. Then, folks, I think that takes us down to item number 14, which is the resolution to approve the Comprehensive Plan Study Review Committee. And I'll defer to, I'm not sure who pulled off.
Councilmember White asked that this item be removed.
Okay, Councilmember White, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually just wanted to request one small revision, and that is as we're working on our comprehensive plan, and I looked at the list of folks that were, the community folks that we have there. I would like to suggest that we include somebody from our disability community, just that, you know, as we're making sure that we are working towards having Moorhead be welcoming and accessible to all. I just thought we got some great resources that we could tap into from either Freedom Resources or Hope Inc. You know, I know there's others too, but just have one representative that could provide a voice for some of the issues that could help us as we're making those plans for Moorhead's future.
Good call, Councilmember White. So do we have a person, or we're just opening it up?
We could certainly, what I'm thinking is that we would just add a spot for that person. In addition, if we approve the list tonight, we could include that person, then we could reach out and appoint somebody that represents the person, community, either a person living with a disability or the community, one of the organizations.
Yep, that sounds great. Any one wish to add anything to that proposal in the discussion on that? All right, hearing none, then is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Deb White.
Seconded by Steve Lindos. A motion to approve with Councilmember White's change, right?
Right, that's why I assumed that it will be that language, or that verbiage. So
That's what I want a second.
All right, there you go. So we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam City Clerk.
Dahlquist,
Yes.
Gilbertson,
Yes.
Caroon,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Seldvold,
Aye.
White,
Yes.
Hendrickson,
Aye.
Lindos.
Yes.
Motion passes. Then I think we're down to number 18, which is a resolution to consider partial refund of on-sale liquor license fees. And City Manager Mahli.
I'm happy to take that one, Mayor. You know, tonight we heard from Derrick LaPoint on a plan for business relief in Clay County. We'll know much more about that tomorrow after the county commission meeting. I know we all are aware of the concerns of Moorhead bars and restaurant owners, all businesses, especially those affected by the governor's closure order due to the pandemic. You know, we had this discussion at our last meeting about what we could do about it, and in the spirit of everyone doing what they can and their part, tonight we have a recommendation on the agenda to offer partial refund to on-sale liquor license holders. Let's see here, the refund will amount to 6 months of the proportionate share of the annual license fee. And that amount is, the list of businesses are in your packet, and the amount is $61,175, which we have found room to cover by way of the balance in the fund. With approval tonight, we would get those checks in the mail tomorrow. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, City Manager Mahli, for your work on this and staff. I do see, I'm not sure, Ms. Gilbertson, I thought I saw a hand up, or was that okay. So Councilmember Gilbertson and then Councilmember Dahlquist.
Thanks, Mayor and City Manager Mahli. So is this money they've already paid in for the year, and then we're cutting them a check for half of it back?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yep, it would be the annual fee. So say it's $6,000 for the annual liquor license. It's the prorated share for the 3 months. There was a closure a month and a half or so right around March, April, and then about a month and a half here at the end of the year. And then anywhere, you know, the 50% occupancy. That's how we determined the 6 months.
Okay. Thank you.
And Councilmember Dahlquist, your hand is up, and then Councilmember White.
Thank you, Mayor. So this will be for the 2020 year, and then I'm wondering, is it possible then if they need to pay for 2021, that they could just use it as credit towards the payment for this coming year?
Yeah, well, so yes, correct. This is a refund for 2020 year. The license, and correct me if I'm wrong, City Clerk Christina Rust, it goes from July to January 31st. Or, I'm sorry, July to June, correct. So this would be to refund the first 6 months of what we're calling the 2020 year, but it's, half of 2020 and half of 2021.
But they do have the option that they could just use it for credit for the next year. I mean, instead of cutting the checks, they could use it as just the credit towards, then you wouldn't have the, I mean, if that's an option.
So just to clarify, liquor license, their licensing period runs July 1st to June 30th. They could certainly, so they won't pay a license fee now until July 1st of 2021. They could certainly bring that back in July, but we collect the money sort of up front, so it's our way of just kind of helping them out. If they want to use that for their continuing fees, we would issue the check and then they can make that decision.
Thank you.
Councilmember White, let's see, your hand is up.
Thanks. I had a similar question, just it's fiscal year versus calendar year, but I just wanted to thank the staff for being creative and looking for ways to support our local businesses. I know it's a really hard time for our bars and restaurants in particular, so I'm glad that we're able to do something like this. And I know it's, for some, it's, they're still, they're having a hard time, but at least it's a little something that we can do for them.
Thank you, Councilmember White, for that. Is there any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Councilmember Lindos moves approval.
Gilbertson, second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam City Clerk?
Gilbertson?
Yes.
Dahlquist?
Yes.
Caroon?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Seljevold?
Aye.
Lindos?
Yes.
Hendrickson?
Yes.
Motion passes. Agenda item 19 are actions to request legislative authority to enable a future voter referendum for a local option sales tax to finance a regionally significant library/community center. And with that, we're handing it to
Governmental Affairs Director Lisa Bode is on the line.
Ms. Bode. You're up.
Good evening, Mayor and council members, and a special welcome to our new and re-elected council members. It's an exciting night for the city. The mayor and council are asked tonight to consider requesting legislative authority to pursue a half-cent local option sales tax that could be put to a vote of the people in the general election of 2022. The potential sales tax would be used to design and build a regional library and community center. And this is really an exciting project, and I just want to give you a little bit of background. Last year, the city took this same action to consider a local option sales tax to ask the legislature to allow us to. And the legislature did not act on our request or the requests of about 20 other cities across Minnesota. Moorhead is the largest city in greater Minnesota that does not have a local option sales tax. And it's something that we've been investigating as a potential opportunity to increase the amenities in Moorhead. And the proposal for a regional library and community center is consistent with Moorhead's strategic initiatives, in particular the identity initiative, that we would strengthen connections and create places where people want to be together. And also it hits on our infrastructure and partnership initiatives. Tonight's request is step one of many steps. It does not obligate the city of Moorhead to put the question on the ballot. It provides the opportunity. We must ask the legislature by January 31st to pursue a local option sales tax. And so this is just an initial step to get us to where we would need to be as we conduct a lot more outreach with the community, have more conversations, and we can further develop a project before we would determine whether the question would be put to the voters in 2022. So there's a lot of work to do and much opportunity for community conversation. I want to make that really clear up front. So if the I want to note that Moorhead sales tax currently is 7.375, which represents the state sales tax along with a 0.5-cent sales tax that Clay County imposed a couple years ago that is used to fund the correctional facility, the jail. And just for comparison, North Dakota has a 7.5% sales tax. So right now we're lower than Fargo and West Fargo. And with this 0.5-cent sales tax, we'd be within, I believe, an eighth of a cent. So that's where we're at in comparison. But also, it's not an apples to apples comparison. The sales tax in North Dakota applies to clothing and other items that does not apply in Minnesota. So, that's just a little background on the competitive. We always look at our competition. But the project, in 2020, we brought 5 potential projects forward. And at the December 2020 workshop of the City Council, the council honed their list, and the consensus and following council action on the 2020 legislative priorities put us in a joint vision for the library of the future, the library community center that would have a lot of components for the community. And I think a lot of that is yet to be determined, but it's a very exciting project. Our current library was built in 1962. And I don't think there's many that would argue that it does not currently meet all the needs of the community, and that there's much more potential for a state-of-the-art library that really that we can all be proud of and that we can gather at and really embrace. Our legislative delegation is in favor of our proposal, and I want to particularly mention that Representative Keeler indicates she's been working with a group on a project related to community center and educational opportunities for youth, and she wanted me to share with you her enthusiasm to work hard on this project from her community standpoint, as well as her new position as our state representative. So that's a little bit of background. There are 2 resolutions in your packet. One is simply to acknowledge that this is a regionally significant project. We need to demonstrate that it is has regional benefit, that the taxpayers of Moorhead will be paying for the library, but so will those outside of Moorhead. And so that's an important component to what the state is requiring. So we've documented that there are a number of library patrons that live outside of our area, as well as noting that Lake Agassiz Regional Library System is headquartered in Moorhead and would benefit from this new facility as well, this potential new facility. The other resolution is one that the state requires to document, the expected cost and, and duration of a tax, of a sales tax in Moorhead. The preliminary estimate that we have for the project is $25.3 million. And at a half-cent sales tax based on the collections of the past few years, we expect that to repay the cost of financing, bonding and financing, and the construction cost. It would take an estimated 13 years to pay for a facility of the size and scope that is at least preliminarily envisioned. So if the council passes these resolutions tonight, by January 31st, we would bring forward these resolutions to the House and Senate leadership and would await hearings and opportunities for this to be considered within the 2021 state tax bill. With that bit of introduction, I would be happy to answer any questions that members may have.
Thank you, Director Bode, for your hard work and for the research on this. And before I hand it over for questions and comments, I just want to make sure from a procedural standpoint, Attorney Shockley, am I right in that both of these resolutions would have to be voted on separately? I think there's one, 19A requires 3/4 of approval from council, and item B looks like there's the majority of council at 5.
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, just want to make sure. All right, thank you for that. Councilmember Carlson, I see your hand is up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Bode, for that information. I know that this is something that the last council, we were very supportive of this. Unfortunately, the legislature didn't address it, and I know that we, when we met in December, it was unanimous that we move forward with this too. I know that a community center is something that the citizens of Moorhead have been very vocal about wanting something like this in our community, so we're not crossing the river and going over to Fargo or West Fargo to participate in different activities that a community center would offer. Additionally, for the public listening in, we also have discussed that this would be a place to house our senior center, and a great opportunity to combine activities and for our seniors that would involve keeping them healthy, in addition to meeting spaces and places to convene and have congregate meals. I know that there was also talk of housing a daycare facility in the same location, because that is a desperate need within our community. And I think it just checks a number of the boxes. And I believe it was Councilmember Lindas who said it's the AAA. You have arts, you have athleticism, and Councilmember Lindas, you're gonna have to remind me of what the last A was for. But then also our library offers so much more than just reading. It offers a myriad of different services to our community that helps to really address marginalized members of our community and underserved populations. And I'm thrilled to announce too that the library itself, in anticipation of this moving forward, is going to be conducting a needs assessment and covering the bill to do the Lake Agassiz Regional Library Board in addition to the Moorhead City Library. So they will be also seeking input to be able to offer and provide that information should this move forward, which I hope it certainly does. I just think this is just a great need and would provide a great service for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Carlson. Councilmember White, your hand is up.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Bode, you mentioned that it would take 13 years for us to pay for it with the sales tax, but I just wanted to clarify. So we also, that doesn't mean we have to exclusively pay for it through that means, so we can still pursue other means. For instance, could we could we include this in our annual bonding request?
Yes, We would, if we move forward with this request, we probably would not seek state bonding funding in addition. We would do, it would probably be an either or that we would do, but I mean, that I haven't given that much consideration. But also if there are some grant opportunities that we could pursue to try to shorten the duration of the sales tax or augment what we would raise through a sales tax. I believe we have a bonding request right now that we're working on for $17.5 million for flood control, and this is not a bonding year. And so, I think we have, some other infrastructure requests that are pretty urgent needs. So I think we should probably think strategically about what funding source we request for each activity. But of course, that's open to further discussion with all of you.
Thanks. And I wasn't speaking specifically to this year's request, just in general, we would have, it doesn't preclude us from seeking other sources of funding, so that might shorten that time and mean less of a burden on our taxpayers if we were able to get grants or have something through bonding or something like that.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Hendrickson, I see your hand is up, and Councilmember, oh, someone took their hand down. So Councilmember Hendrickson, I see your hand is up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Lisa, what's the process for, down at the Capitol? Does it go through a subcommittee, then a committee? Does it need to be passed first and then go to the public? I just want to refresh everybody's memory.
So this would go through the tax process. So there would be, hearings in various committees. Councilmember Hendrickson, you and I participated in the preliminary hearing in the House on this project on a sales tax in 2020. And subsequently there would be a hearing in the Senate, and it would continue on that legislative process with other local governments that are requesting similar authorization. And then, as I understand, it would be part of the tax bill in the final legislative actions. And that would give us the authority to then bring that question to the voters in 2022. But one intervening step would be the city council would have to vote to put it on a ballot. So okay. Other opportunities for authorization.
But it's kind of like just giving us a tool in our tool belt. It gives us the option, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and I remember last year when we did testify in front of that committee, is there going to be a lot of competition this year again? I remember there's a lot of tax projects, or you couldn't tell?
Well, it's not competition because each would be taxing its own residents. I believe that part of the reason that things did not move forward was, it was just other priorities that became, increasingly relevant at the legislature. And so, and they, it seems like they weren't quite sure of what they were looking for. So they'll go through the process again this year.
And I didn't mean competition. I mean just, who they approved and who they didn't. That's what I meant. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, folks. Are there any other council members that wish to be heard? Councilmember Gilbertson.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Bode. I can tell the passion in your presentation about this project. I'm not sure how long I can play the new card, but today is definitely, day number one. So it seems like a big ask for the new guy. My question, Ms. Bode, is, what's the timeline? You say January 31st, do we ask the state government? And then when do they say yes or no? And then if we don't approve or they don't approve, and we come back January 2022, what's that timeline for bringing it to the voter? And then if they do approve it this spring, I'll go back one step. If they do approve it this spring, is it unlimited until it passes, or do you have to keep going back to the government, to the state?
So Councilmember Gilbertson, no question is inappropriate at this point because we're all kind of going through this for the first time. Moorhead's never had a local option sales tax. But we'll be putting together a Gantt chart of some of the decision-making steps and the steps necessary to bring this project to fruition. We've got a lot of work to do in order to accomplish this. The legislative session will end in mid-May. And if this is approved, we will know then at that point whether we will know by that point in time, unless, you know, they go into special session, but the stated legislative period ends in mid-May. And then we would know that, and we need to be working now, and we need to continue working after that time to further develop the project, make sure our cost estimates are good, make sure that we, we've talked about a number of potential uses and activities at the site, some of which will be, viable, and maybe some of them will not, or compatible or not. And so there's a lot of work to do on community participation. As Councilmember Carlson mentioned, the library we've been in touch with the library, and the library has on their own already started this process just because they know that Moorhead has needs for more library space. We may want to enhance that effort. I know that they had a tight budget, and so the number of touch points with the community, not sure if that's enough or if we need to do more. We'll be having those conversations now, and maybe we need other consulting services to really work on the site development. Perhaps City Manager Mahli may want to weigh in on this too. I don't want to speak on his behalf too, but there's a lot of work necessary before we would know. And I'm sorry, I don't have the precise deadline by which we would need to know for the ballot question, but that would be some point in 2022. A lot of the cities that were requesting sales tax last year did not intend for a 2022 general election. They wanted to put their sales tax questions on the 2020 ballot, but we knew we would not be ready this year. So more to come on process and procedure. Can I ask City Manager Mahli, did you have anything you wanted to add on that in particular? One other thing is the downtown plan. We really want to make sure that whatever we do is compatible with that plan.
Yeah, the only thing I might add is that, we just want to be sure we're equipping ourselves to be able to ask the questions that we need to ask related to these community amenities that folks have been talking about. So I think that was the hope here, is to get the authorization. If I were to say anything, I think, it would be, I'd like to go one step further and ask the state to just give cities the authority to make this decision when it's time for cities to make this decision, if I'm being totally honest. Rather than being put in this position where we have to go down and ask the state for the permission to do so, ahead of having the thing fully loaded and knowing exactly what it is. That being said, you cook with what you have in the kitchen, and so we'd like to, the authorization to get that permission and then go through this process to potentially bring the question to the public in 2022.
Thank you for the information. Any of the council members wish to be heard on this matter?
Yes, Mayor. This is Sheldrall.
Yep.
I raised my hand, but I can't tell if it ever stays up or not on the computer, so I'm gonna.
That's okay. I didn't see it, just as an FYI, so I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know if this is late to the game, but I know the library is a regional library. I don't know if Dilworth has a library or not, a public library. If they want to go to library, their community into Moorhead. I would like to see Dilworth be a partner on this because we have a regional library. They also have a pretty big business out there that collects a lot of sales tax that would actually help if they voted down and we voted up, we still got our city doing it, but if they want to help, then I think it would shorten the time. We'd collect the money because they got a pretty big department store out there that would collect a lot of sales tax. It's a thought to see if Dilworth would like to shake hands with us and go in on it. So
I'm not sure if Director Bode or City Manager Mahli, you want to respond on that or have some time to process that. That's fine either way.
We can certainly research whether that might be feasible. I think you're right, Councilmember Selgival. That's an opportunity if Dilworth is amenable to that. So it might be worth seeing what legislatively, if we can have a 2-city sales tax or not. I'm not sure, but we can sure ask the question.
Councilmember Carlson, your hand is up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just quickly in respond to Councilmember Selgivold, Dilworth does not have a library. Clay County and Moorhead are the signatories with the Lake Agassiz Regional Library Board, which encompasses several different counties. They have different smaller locations throughout. I don't remember how many counties off the top of my head are a part of it. But to give everybody just a little bit of an idea about the conditions our current library is in. For instance, just a few months ago, the Lake Agassiz Regional Library Board staff had to leave, even though they're social distancing, they have a few people in, but there was water streaming down the walls, and that's a continual issue. I mean, the infrastructure in this library is just at its end. And like I said, there is a lot of support in the community for both a new library and all the amenities that come with that, in addition to all the amenities that would come with the community center. And to reiterate what Ms. Bode had said, this is not a end game. This is just to get us to the start line, or to the start point. This is just giving us an opportunity to ask the legislature, and there would be a lot more work and a lot more community engagement to see what this would involve. But if we don't vote it, then then it's just completely done.
Okay. All right, folks. Any other discussion? Councilmember Gilbertson.
Not sure if this is the right time, but I'll abstain from the vote.
Okay. All right. And let me just check with the parliamentarian, Mr. Shockley. There's nothing that has to be made on the record other than just the abstention. Is that accurate?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to note, in Minnesota, you can only not vote on let me be very clear. In Minnesota, unless you have a conflict of interest, your vote would be counted on the prevailing side. So unless the council member has a specific conflict of interest, just abstaining means that your vote would be counted with the majority, whatever that might be, either negative or positive for the vote. And so you would have to declare if you have a conflict of interest. A good example of a conflict of interest is if a real estate agent was trying to sell a piece of property to the city and that real estate agent was also on the city council, that would clearly be a conflict of interest. Or if there's some sort of business dealing. You're certainly welcome to abstain, but keep in mind your vote would be counted on the prevailing side.
Thank you, Mr. Shockley.
Yeah, I do not have a conflict, and I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right. So we have that on the record. Any other comments or questions from council? Councilmember Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the resolution supporting the authority to impose a local option sales tax
I'll second Deb White.
Motion's been made and seconded, and this is in regards to 19A only. Any further discussion?
Yep, that is correct, Mr. Mayor.
Yep. We have to take them separately, that's why I specified 19A only. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam City Clerk.
Dahlquist,
Yes.
my apologies, I just need to find the, Gilbertson, you were abstaining. Carlson,
Yes.
Caroon,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Seljavold,
Aye.
Hendrickson,
Aye.
Lindos,
Yes.
Motion passes. So then there's item number B, and I think Director Bode to speak on this. Is there any other information that needs to be discussed from Director Bode or City Manager Mahli on item number B? I think we got that covered.
No, Mayor. It's just documenting the regional significance of the project.
Okay. And I think we all have that. That's been discussed. So is there a motion to approve 19B?
Dahlquist, move to approve.
Second, Caroon.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? And before we proceed, Councilmember Gilbertson, was your abstention specifically for 19A, or was that also for 19B?
Just 19A.
Okay.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you for the clarity. All right, hearing no further discussion, Madam City Clerk.
Dahlquist,
Yes.
Gilbertson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Caroon,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Seljavold,
Aye.
Hendrickson,
Aye.
Lindos.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, folks, for the discussion on this important item. Appreciate it. All right, so that moves us to agenda item number 23, Mayor and Council reports. Are there any council members that wish to provide any updates or reports at this time? The Councilmember Dahlquist and then Councilmember Lindos. Your hands are up.
I just want to thank all the new board and committee members and thank them for applying. We have a lot of new people, and I love to see that. Also, I want to see how much more we can use our local paper, that's in our agenda today, the Extra. And I think it's an excellent source for people that don't have internet. So if we could utilize it to get more information out to the public, it's free and it's at the grocery store where everybody goes. So I'm just happy that we have the Extra and think that we could use it some more.
Thank you, Councilmember Dahlquist. Councilmember Lindos.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess it's more of a statement I was making. I was reflecting on the oath of office that I just took this, right prior to this meeting. And I thought I would say something into that regards. So we actually are facing 4 unprecedented crises in our great country today. We have the ongoing assault on our democracy, the devastating COVID-19 pandemic that we're all living through, and systemic racism, not to also imagine the pervading threat of climate change that exists. All of these crises have had grave and significant impacts on each and every one of us through loss of life and trust, and will continue to have grave effects on our health and well-being if we do not work swiftly and boldly to address them. The oath of office that I just took is basically a reaffirmation of the basic values that underlie our great democratic experiment, and it is a great honor to be sworn to uphold and defend them. So I call really on each of us present and every resident of the city of Moorhead to reflect on the oath that both I and the 3 of my fellow council members just took prior to this meeting, and to ask ourselves how we might empathetically but resolutely hold each other and our leaders, including myself, to account in addressing these crises at the state, city, and national levels. Each of us can and should be incredibly proud of the institutions and governments we have built in the United States of America. And I look forward to working with all of you to make them even better over my term. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lindos. Councilmember Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did want to echo Councilmember Dahlquist. Welcome to all new members serving on all the boards and committees of our great city. It is a time commitment, and we appreciate everybody who gives their time. Two things I wanted to mention. One of them is a really exciting opportunity for our citizens in Moorhead, and also for groups such as perhaps the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, or I know Orchestra Instructor Brian Cole had reached out to one of our city staff inquiring about opportunities for the orchestra to get involved with doing some community service in our city. I have been working with a small team from the city of Moorhead, Chief Dyson, Lieutenant Kayla Cross from the fire department, and Trevor Magnuson, in addition to City Manager Dan Mahli. We have been working with Moorhead Public Service, Travis Schmidt, Jake Long, and Todd Copeland on developing a Adopt a Hydrant program for the city of Moorhead. And I am proud to announce that with all the fantastic work from this group of individuals, that program is going to be launched this week and is going to actually become an event during our Frostival towards the end of the month. And people will have the ability to go on to the GIS website, and it will be on our city highlights page. And I wanted to give a shout out to Lisa Bode too for facilitating that process to get it on there, and our staff and IT department of the city of Moorhead. It is going to be on the fire department page, and is also going to be under the How Do I Volunteer for the city of Moorhead. We have approximately 2,000 fire hydrants in the city of Moorhead, and this year it's fine, but remember last year when we had all that snow, and if there is a fire, it can take many precious minutes to uncover a hydrant in order to get the water hooked up for the fire department. So this is a much needed service to our fire department and Moorhead Public Service. So just wanted to give kudos to the committee that worked on this. It was a pleasure to work with all of them, and it's going to be in hopefully one of those programs that just continues to grow. Also, a shout out to Chief Dyson, who was the first person who adopted a hydrant, and his hydrant name, which you do get to select your own name, his hydrant name is Ruby. So please congratulate Chief Dyson on adopting Ruby. The other thing I wanted to mention is, I mentioned it earlier when we were talking about the library and community center. I'm thrilled also to announce that Lake Agassiz Regional Library Board is going to be doing a needs assessment for our Moorhead Library. To give you an idea, it needs a brand new HVAC system. Another need would be exterior walls that are not crumbling. That is going to be high on their list of needs. Their restrooms are subpar in our library. So those are just some of the smaller things. But community meeting rooms, the ability to check out perhaps recreational equipment from our library, and all of the myriad of services that they offer to our community. And so I'm really excited about that starting the ball rolling for us to have a new facility, or like Ms. Lisa Bode mentioned, a library of the future in our community. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. That was it.
Thank you, Councilmember Carlson. Any other council members wish to be heard? Councilmember Lindos, your hand is up.
Thank you, Mayor. I totally brushed over probably one of the cool things that is happening, and cool is intentional there. But a shout out to everyone in the city. Dan Mahli, please convey thanks to the people that are really working on outdoor activation. and the trails, the ski trails, and everything that have been going up are just fantastic. And I know that there is some people that aren't necessarily following good trail etiquette and stepping on tracks and stuff, but that's gonna come. I know people in Moorhead will start to realize where to walk and where not to walk, and where to snowshoe, etc. But I've been very impressed, and I'm not the only one. I've heard lots of kudos from community members. And in fact, our regional community members from Fargo are coming over here because they really value. And so recognizing what we have is really cool. And now we just need a little bit more snow for a really, really nice fluffy white frostable.
Thank you, Councilmember Lindos. And I hear there will be some more cool snow sculptures. Hopefully, if we get more snow, hopefully they can work with the snow we have, but you never know. Councilmember Hendrickson, your hand is up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to give you a quick update. We're working with the county right now on establishing the new transfer station, and we're working out the logistics and time periods in that and who's going to do what. So I just want to give a little update on that, and I'm pretty excited. We're going to get that new transfer station within the year, or 2 years. Thanks.
Thank you for the update, Councilmember Hendrickson. Any other council members wish to be heard? All right. I'll be brief. I want to send a shout out to the IT department. I've noticed that our website has gone through some changes, and so it looks great. So I want to give a shout out to the IT department for their help, and also for their creativity to update our website. Also want to send a shout out and a congratulations to Marnie Hebe, and also the Lake Agassiz, a Habitat for Humanity. I think tonight, if I'm not mistaken, she's moving to her new home in North Moorhead, so congratulations to her. And then also updates regarding the Minnesota Mayors Together Executive Committee, which I'm on. Also send a shout out to Commissioner Steve Groh from Minnesota DEED. Listening to the mayors from Greater Minnesota as well as the Metro discuss the issues regarding the reopening of our businesses here. He has been a really good ear to listen, especially in light of the fact that as a border city, we have our own dynamics that we have to work with in that regard. So I do want to thank him and the other mayors for allowing myself to share our story and our specific dynamics as stated about what we have going on here. I feel like there has been a good response, so we'll hopefully keep that communication line open. I think with that, I'll just add to that is on Thursday the 14th is the annual State of the Cities 2021 event. And I'm not sure how the chamber is going to provide that. I think it will be streamed live, but I'm not sure if that is open to everyone. That I'm not sure, but I want to thank city staff for helping me with the format. I think this year's format is going to be a lot of questions and answers. So thanks to Director Bode and City Manager Mahli for helping me get answers to those questions that at least I know will be coming, and some that I may not know will be coming. So either way, we'll work with it and go from there. But other than that, that's all I have for an update, unless anyone has any questions for me. Then, hearing none, City Manager Mahli, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor, and welcome, of course, to the new council members, and Happy New Year to everyone in Moorhead. Is a little teaser, I guess, for the mayor's State of the City. You know, 2020 was a hard year, but in Moorhead, our development accelerated, and it's in the data. Residential remodels, for example, in 2020, we had 507 residential remodel permits. In 2019, it was 464, and in 2018, it was 445. So if you look at this on a table, it just steps up. That's what in the data world we call accelerating. New homes held steady, 133 in 2020, 128 in 2019, so even ticked up a little bit. Commercial remodels, $32 million in 2020, $26 million in 2019, and new commercial, $24.5 million in value in 2020 and $11.7 million in 2019. So there's a great story in here, there's great momentum happening, and that's what we got to keep working on. And so I just wanted to share that as we get going. Somebody had mentioned Frostable. I couldn't help but mention between now and I think it was Councilmember Lindas, and our next meeting, things are really going to get rolling with the Frostable events. Related to the question about snow, we were packing in the frames for the snow sculptures. There's going to be 5 really neat ones right behind the Yemcomp Center by that excellent little light tunnel back there. And so let's see here. I do have one question where I want to get a couple head nods if we could. So the governor's closure order has expired, and the Yemcomp Center is, has plans to reopen, and it is equipped to host meetings whereby the council and public can socially distance if they like when we meet, or if folks prefer to continue to meet virtually, that can be accommodated as well. So I just want to check the temperature in the room here to see if we want to start meeting at the Yemcomp Center on January 25th. There's no pressure to be there. We could still continue to meet virtually, but just want to make that available. We're ready. I understand we're ready to make that move, if so directed.
I do see, oh, my mic is on. I do see a hand up from Councilmember Carlson. I'm not sure if that's directly related to Councilmember Mahli's. Okay.
Excuse me. So yeah, and I think I'm looking for just general head nods. I know, in just speaking with some folks, I've seen some folks say, yep, I would like to meet in person. Other council members have said, I plan to continue meeting virtually. So with that, I guess I'm making the public aware that we're making that decision, and more will be coming.
Okay. Great. Thank you for that, Mr. Mahli. And as always, thank you and your staff for the excellent work in getting us to this point. So it's definitely something to celebrate. Councilmember Carlson, your hand is up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I apologize. I feel I'm talking a lot during this meeting, which is not typical. But I just sent a picture to Chris Ratty. I'm not sure if he is able to share the picture and photo quickly. But I did want to give a shout out and a thank you to City Manager Dan Mahli for providing Moorhead with a beautiful light tunnel that is lit up from, and I probably going to get the times wrong, from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. I'm not sure. It's lit up during the nighttime hours. And if Chris, I sent you the picture via email, if you're able to share the screen so members of our community are aware that this beautiful thing is located right behind the Yemcomp Center, and I've been seeing a lot of pictures of people taking selfies posted on Facebook. I just think it's a really cool thing. So thank you, City Manager Mahli, for providing that to the city.
Yeah, this isn't a public project. This is just a project there's a few friends doing a thing. And so we had some garden hoops, and we made a neat little light tunnel down there. So it's kind of fun. The hope was to draw some people into an area where not many folks have been going. I think we changed the course of the ski trail, which is kind of neat. And then We've got the Folkways crew talking about bringing their fire pits down there, and there'll be some sculptures happening kind of right in that area too. So it should be a lot of fun. There was no public funding into this little project. I want to make sure that is made clear. And you know, we've been calling it, we had Mary Schmidt, we call it Mary's Tunnel. She died abruptly not long ago, and you know, it's been hard on the folks on the 4th floor. But anyway, it's a neat little spot, and we encourage everyone to check it out with their family. So.
Thank you, Councilmember Carlson, for recognizing that, and also thank you, City Manager Mahli, and your crew for your creativity and getting folks out and about and getting them down there. So that's a good thing. So thank you for that. All right, folks. Are there any other reports that need to be brought to our attention? All right. Hearing none, we are now going into agenda item number 25, which is a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.04 for labor negotiations. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So move, Seldrold.
Linda, second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam City Clerk.
Dahlquist,
Yes.
Gilbertson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Caroon,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Seldvold,
Aye.
Hendrickson,
Aye.
Lindas.
Yes.
Motion passes. We are now in executive session. See you in a few seconds, folks. Okay. All right. Madam City Clerk, we ready to roll? Everybody's
We
back?
are.
Okay. Is there a motion to exit executive session?
So moved.
Linda, seconds.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam City Clerk?
Dahlquist,
Yes.
Gilbertson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Caroon,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Seljevold,
Aye.
Hendrickson,
Aye.
Lindas.
Yes.
Motion passes. We're now back in the public forum, and 25A is a resolution to approve the labor agreement and memorandums of understanding between the City of Moorhead and Law Enforcement Labor Services, Inc., Local 375, police sergeants and police lieutenants. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Councilmember Lindos moves approval.
Second, Chuck.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam City Clerk?
Gilbertson,
Yes.
Dahlquist,
Yes.
Caroon,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Seljevold,
Aye.
White,
Yes.
Lindas,
Yes.
Hendrickson.
Aye.
Motion passes. Agenda item number 26, new business. Is there any new business to be brought before the council this evening? None? Hearing none. Item number 27, are there any citizens that wish to address the council at this point in time? None? All right, then is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. I'm assuming there's no further discussion, and so we are in adjournment. Thank you, folks. Good night, Moorhead.
Good night, all.